Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody. Let me just get live on Amazon real quick here and we'll start doing our thing. The show never stops, as they say. All right, let's go live on Amazon. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one today. And if you are a subscriber of my YouTube channel, which I believe most of the live viewers are on the YouTube side, what we're going to be doing today is actually recording a video that I'll be posting up a little bit later this weekend, or maybe later this week, maybe even tomorrow. And what I'm doing, in case you're curious, is continuing my adventures in ham radio. So I am very happy with my handheld radio here, but I've taken it as far as I can take it, and I kind of know what I need now, so that's why I am in the process of buying more stuff, which I have done. So now we're going to kind of do a haul video, as the cool kids like to call it. And we're going to kind of step through all of that. I'm going to record the video while I live stream here and kind of do that. So this is not going to be me talking on my radio because I'm in my basement and I don't have anything hooked up in the yard yet. And we're about to get like some thunderstorms. So I am... we're going to call this the ham haul. How does that sound? So what I'm going to do is record all this, show you what I got, and that'll be a teaser for future stuff. So that's how we're going here. So Kevin Hawthorne is here. Welcome. Travis Rhodes is here. Yo. Jolt Dude is here. Christoph Howard is here. All my usual friends are here. Nigel is here from the rather hot London Heathrow. It is rather hot here too. We're going to get a thunderstorm in a little bit. And so I'm holding out. Hey, Good Game is here. Awesome. Yes, so you're going to see, I think I told you everything I bought, but you're going to see it all now. I'm not hooking any of it up just yet because we're about to get hit with a thunderstorm. So I'm going to wait. But I figured this would be a good time to do that. And we've got Lord Peter joining us from Denmark. And if you have a call sign, if you are a licensed operator, definitely leave it in the chat so we can know who you are. I am Casey... What am I? KC1RGS is my call sign. So let me know. So yeah, we're going to do a little haul. So what this is going to be is like a video where I kind of update you as to where I've gone, where I've started, and now where I'm going. Is kind of how we're doing this. And there's a playlist. I think it's Lon.TV. What did I set it as? Is it Lon.TV radio? No, it is. Oh, it's Lon.TV/SDR for software-defined radio, because this began as a software-defined radio series, and it's become more than that. And I'll show you what we've done so far on the channel here. So let me make this full screen and make this a... yeah, and if you're joining me on Amazon, we'll start unboxing stuff in a minute. I'm getting a lot of viewers on Amazon right now. So bear with me for 1 second, and we will get this show on the road, as they say. This is my Anytone 878, and I added an additional antenna to it to try to increase the reach of it, and I'm actually getting a little bit more reach. So there's a guy who actually lives in my mother's neighborhood who set up a digipeater for APRS packet transmissions, and every once in a while, I can reach it with this antenna if I'm out in the backyard in the right way. And what I'm discovering is that I don't have enough power to reach everything that I want to reach, but I can receive everything very clearly. So really the issue right now is probably antenna height, but also transmit power, because this radio only does 7 watts on one band. I think on UHF, or I think VHF it does 7 watts, and on UHF it's like 5 or 6. So I need more power, Captain, is what it comes down to. So I am very happy with this radio. I would recommend it to anybody. But this is going to be my portable radio, and I might do some other packet stuff with it in the house. But what I love about it is that it has APRS built in. And I'll talk a little bit about this in the video. I should probably save this for the video. But what I like about it is that it has APRS built in, And the APRS network has, I may actually do a whole video on this because I think it's really fascinating. The APRS network, which is all run by amateurs all over the world, has a means in which messages can be routed to specific call signs. But additionally, they have what's called the SMS gate available. So think about this. If you're out, like climbing a mountain somewhere where you've got no cell phone coverage, these handheld radios transmit, this one in particular, at 7 watts, 6 watts, 7 watts. Your cell phone, maybe half a watt, if that. And if there's no cell tower nearby, you're not going to reach it. APRS will basically bounce or retransmit these packet transmissions from one tower to the next until it gets somewhere where there's an internet connection to hit the SMS gateway. So with this radio, I can send a text message. I've been sending text messages to my friends with this through this network. And you could actually reach people on with a text message without actually being anywhere near a cell phone tower. And they have these, I bought one of these, they have these antennas. They're called emergency antennas. And I think they call them emergency antennas. But what you do with these emergency antennas, they roll up and then you just throw up in a tree and you get a much longer antenna so you can reach some of these far off places there. So it's really, really, really cool. But yeah, we're going to go through all this and I'll talk about what I'm doing. And part of what's going to be fun about this video is that when I post it, I'm going to get a lot of advice and a lot of discussion, because what I'm finding in the ham radio market is, or the ham radio world, is there's no right or wrong way to do anything, but there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. And we're actually going to, and a little spoiler, so Steve Goodgame is up at ARRL headquarters, and we're going to be visiting him and getting a tour of the national headquarters for amateur radio, which happens to be in my home state of Connecticut. So we're going to have a lot more on all of this. Frank Cromer is joining me on Amazon, as always, and says, I really didn't need another hobby. You know, it's funny, I needed another hobby because I love what I do for a living, but I wanted something new to do. So I was looking at either taking flying lessons or learning amateur radio. My wife is much happier with me doing this for now. So we'll get to the aviation later. I've got plenty of time, hopefully. Big Man loves the Kenwoods, and in fact, the Kenwoods are on the space station, and I communicated through one of the Kenwoods with this radio, with a special antenna. Thomas Woodford is joining us. Jolt Dude says it's kind of like returning from the MIT flea market. I always want to go to that. One of these days, I will do that. And yes, part of what we'll discuss is my outdoor antenna choices as we're going through here. And Christoph has got a thunderstorm rolling through his area. We have a ham here, Ash Smith from Kentucky, KM4EXE. So definitely post your comments there, or your call signs. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin certainly figured it out, didn't he? And it looks like Steve says the Anytone here is a great choice. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I've done a lot with this. I'm even doing packet radio with this thing, and I did a video on that with it. So, and Tracksuit says ham radio YouTube is in need of integrity, honesty, precision, and humility. Well, you're going to get a lot of humility out of me. A lot of humility, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go along. So, but yeah, you'll see all the stuff that I've purchased. And yes, the roll-up J-pole, that's what I was thinking of. And I have one. I actually bought one, and it works pretty well. And has anyone transmitted to the ISS successfully? Me. So if you check the playlist, Lon.TV/SDR, you will see my video and a recording of a transmission that I made up to the space station, and then it hit somebody very far, you know, for me, very far away. So this radio, you know, I think the farthest I've been able to reach anyone is about 20 or 30 miles. And so with this radio, that's about the distance on a good, perfect conditions, 20 or 30 miles if you're lucky. The guy that I reached was 300 or 400 miles away, because when the space station was overhead, you transmit to the station, the Kenwood radio on there receives the signal and then immediately rebroadcasts it back down on another frequency. And so the guy that I talked to was in Ithaca, New York, and he was able to receive that signal, repeat it talk back to me, again, through the space station and back down. And you have to work really quickly because the station is only overhead for a few minutes. So it's more, what I found the process here is that you've got to be prepared. So it's, call sign, your map grid location. I describe all this in the video. And pretty much that's it, because you don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of other people trying to make contacts at the same time. It's kind of like a mad rush to make contacts with other people. Chairman Meow on Amazon says, what do you think of these new small portable software-defined radios? So I have the this is what got me into all of this. I have the RTL SDR, which is like 30 bucks on Amazon. There's a kit where you get a dipole antenna, actually 2 antennas, a little stand, a suction cup mount, and you can pick up a lot with that thing. And then like if you hook up like a wire antenna to it, you can pick up a lot of the digital transmissions going over some of the lower ham bands. It's really, really, really cool. So it's a lot of fun. And as Mr. Goodgame points out here, that one of the astronauts on board, actually during the ARRL field day, was making contacts to people on the ground. So that was a lot of fun, and I unfortunately did not make a contact that day. I didn't get my radio set up in time. Jolt Dude is N1NIG. And Jolt Dude's talking about temperature inversions. Yeah, you learn a lot about this stuff when you're studying for your license. And that's the other thing is that you cannot operate. You can buy one of these radios, and you can listen to things on the radio, but you can't transmit until you get your amateur license. So that is one of the things that you have to have in order to transmit. And if you transmit without a license, you can get in trouble. It's a federal offense, not a state offense, but a federal one, if you transmit without a license. Additionally, as you'll see when we start the video in a minute, my license allows me to transmit on some frequencies that amateurs transmit on, but not all of them. So if I were to transmit on some of the lower high frequency bands right now with my technician license, that would also get me in trouble. So it's a matter of, one of those matters of great power comes great responsibility. And the reason why there is a licensing process for these radios is because you need to understand the impact that being irresponsible can be. Because if you think about everything that our lives depend on, especially emergency responders, you really have to understand how radios work and be responsible in the operation of them so you don't interfere with the fire department, for example, or the police department, or worse, the military or whatever. So it's one of those things where you learn a lot in the licensing process to understand the responsibility that you have to operate your radio responsibly. KF0JSB, Eric Hahn, another. Yeah, I got a lot of hams in the audience, so I didn't realize there were so many. All right, so what do we say we start recording this video? So you get kind of a bonus today, because I don't usually record videos live on YouTube. I usually just do it on Amazon. But I have a feeling this one is going to be fun to record. And we will see how this goes. And the process that I took, and I'll probably talk about this in the video too, the process that I took was I am buying new equipment. And I think for a lot of people getting into the hobby, and I bought the equipment specifically because I had things that I didn't want to have a lot of stuff. I wanted to consolidate as much as I could into a single device, and you'll see what I chose for that. And I may have ended up making the wrong decision, but we'll see. But a lot of people jump into this just buying used equipment and seeing what works and what doesn't, and then kind of upgrade from there. And one of the pieces of advice that I'm going to give is actually the same advice I give to people that are doing video production, especially for the kind of work that I do, which is to start with the bare minimum, which is what I did with the handheld radio here, and then figure out what you can't do and what you want to do, and then find the right piece of equipment to do those things. Is kind of how I approach that. All right. Got a new follower on Amazon, Stephen Gudovich. Thank you for the follow. All right, so why don't we begin the video? And a lot of times when I'm recording this stuff, I do the takes over and over again. So we'll go from there. And I do cheat. I look up on Wikipedia the NATO phonetic alphabet. Although I have like I have like a little note in my iPhone, and I have my phonetic call sign already written down. So whenever I go on, I've got a little script. I'll get it eventually. I have friends in the military. One of my friends who was in the military is also a local ham operator, so he's much better on the phonetics than I am. But we'll see where it goes. I am on Tech is here, and Travis's late grandfather was in the CIA and ATF and was huge on ham radio. Awesome. Yeah, who was I talking to the other day? Somebody was telling me that their parent had been a very active ham operator. Can't remember who it was. But it's fun. I got a lot of friends now like kind of interested in it. And it'd be fun to get them interested in it, so I have people to talk to. I don't have a very active local ham scene around here. So part of why I'm upgrading is to try to make more long distance contacts. All right, so I'm going to wing this one and see where we go. Now, Frank Cromer says the Navy taught him the phonetic alphabet. Yeah, I think if you have military service, you are at a big advantage here. Although if you are a pilot, you also have the phonetic alphabet. So I think, I just never had the military experience, nor did I have the aviation experience yet to learn the phonetic alphabet. Although it's not that hard. I think I'll get there. So we will take it from there. All right, so I'm going to start recording. And just keep chatting, and we'll in between takes, I will say hello to people and answer questions. All right, so we're going to begin my recording session in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon Seidman. We're doing an update today on my ham radio adventure. When we last talked about my amateur radio exploits, we were talking about my Anytone 878 UV2 Plus here. And in my last video, I showed you how I was making some packet radio calls on this. And I was also able to talk to somebody through the International Space Station as it orbited overhead. And I think I've hit kind of the limit to what this radio can do. And I like this a lot. In fact, I'm going to certainly be keeping this radio and will likely be using it, especially when I'm out on the road. But I need more transmit power, especially for communicating with some of the packet radio things around me, and also for trying to do more long-distance communications, because this radio covers UHF and VHF, but doesn't have a lot of transmit power. It only does about 6 or 7 watts. And it also cannot do HF transmissions. And as an amateur radio operator, a technician licensee, I have access to the 10-meter band, kind of a smaller sliver of it. And I wanted to get into some of the weak signal data transmissions that you can do there, along with maybe a little bit of voice on 10 meters. And eventually I'll get my next license, the general license, and then I'll have access to all of these additional bands. But I'm taking baby steps in this ham radio adventure as I go. And in order to do more in this hobby, I needed to acquire more equipment. So I have gone out and bought some antennas. I've bought a new radio. I bought a power supply. And what I thought I would do in this video is do what I call a ham haul, where I show you all the stuff that I got. And in a future video, once I get everything figured out and hooked up, we'll do a video of me doing some transmissions over longer distances with all of these new pieces of equipment. Now, before we get into this, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that everything in this video I paid for with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this video, and nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what I got on my ham haul. All right, I got to leave extra time now because my 4K video conversion to my, whatchamacallit, so I have to convert my raw footage from vMix into H.264, I'm sorry, not H.264, to ProRes 422 to edit on the Mac. And when I do that, I have to convert all the files over. My file sizes are enormous now because I'm doing 4K. It's like, I have to actually get a new hard drive for my production machine because I can only store like 2 or 3 projects on it at a time right now. So each project now is like 50 to 100 gigabytes of raw footage. And it's like double because I have to convert it to QuickTime or to ProRes. So it's, yeah, I'm going to do another video on my 4K thing also. So for example, what I just recorded, which is like what, like maybe a minute and a half, that was 6.3 gigabytes. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, we got some got some stuff to do there. All right, so I've got some folks in the Amazon chat here. Hunter just started following me. Welcome. And this is actually one of the more, I haven't had this many views on an Amazon stream in a while. In fact, this one is doing better than the ones I did over Prime Day, believe it or not. So this is a good haul here. So Amazon customer says, Amazon has a live like this. Wow, yeah, they've been doing live video now for a little while. I've been doing it for about 2 years. And it links up with my YouTube channel, so it's kind of a complementary function. And I got somebody looking to do a freelance reviewer of Amazon products. Well, I don't think you're in the right place. That's what I do. All right, let me go just add this to my list here and make sure this is a good take. So yeah, it was about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Frank Cromer says, I didn't get a hard drive on Prime Day. No, you know why? Because I was looking for a 2 terabyte NVMe, and I didn't see the right thing for what I needed. So we will go on from there. M2 MacBook Air, yes, it's been ordered, but I have not received it yet. So as soon as I get it, I will take a look at it. But yeah, I was looking for a specific size and price, and I didn't see a good deal on the hard drive that I needed on Prime Day, so I didn't get it. And this is funny. When your friend's 7-year-old uses, yeah, I'm going to actually study the phonetic alphabet with my daughter. My daughter is like a little sponge of knowledge. Like she remembers everything. It's amazing. I used to be like that, but now I'm old. So, and Christoph says, I have all the ham operators in chat. Oh yeah, now we'll be attracting a lot of them here. All right, I'm just going to play back what I just recorded. I do this when I do these streams just to make sure I'm happy with it. So what I do is I shoot all of my videos in real time. And then that way I don't have to edit all that much. And my editor is off for a couple of days, so I got to edit everything myself this week. So what I do is as you saw, even though I'm streaming, I had hit the record button, and my workflow is the same. I just hit the record button and do my thing. But I like to watch what I recorded to make sure I don't need to backtrack at all. Because a lot of times, so if I was making YouTube videos like most people do, and I'm not knocking how other people make their videos, this is just what works for me, is that when I'm done, I generally don't have to put B-roll in because I've recorded it while I was talking. And so let's take a look and see how this came out, and I'll be right back. In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're doing an update today on my ham radio adventure. When we last talked about my amateur radio exploits, we were talking about my Anytone 878 UV2 Plus here. And in my last video, I showed you how I was making some packet radio calls on this. And I was also able to talk to somebody through the International Space Station as it orbited overhead. And I think I've hit kind of the limit to what this radio can do. And I like this a lot. In fact, I'm going to certainly be keeping this radio and will likely be using it, especially when I'm out on the road. But I need more transmit power, especially for communicating with some of the packet radio things around me, and also for trying to do more long-distance communications, because this radio covers UHF and VHF, but doesn't have a lot of transmit power. It only does about 6 or 7 watts. And it also cannot do HF transmissions. And as an amateur radio operator, a technician licensee, I have access to the 10-meter band, kind of a smaller sliver of it. And I wanted to get into some of the weak signal data transmissions that you can do there, along with maybe a little bit of voice on 10 meters. And eventually I'll get my next license, the general license, and then I'll have access to all of these additional bands. But I'm taking baby steps in this ham radio adventure as I go. And in order to do more in this hobby, I needed to acquire more equipment. So I have gone out and bought some antennas. I've bought a new radio. I bought a power supply. And what I thought I would do in this video is do what I call a ham haul, where I show you all the stuff that I got. And in a future video, once I get everything figured out and hooked up, we'll do a video of me doing some transmissions over longer distances with all of these new pieces of equipment. Now, before we get into this, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that everything in this video I paid for with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this video, and nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what I got on my ham haul. Okay, so we're in a good spot there. So I ended on me. So I think what I might do I'm just trying to think here how we're going to start off. I guess I'll start with, this is going to be the first controversial part of the video. I bought 100 feet of coax that's already pre-terminated because I don't know how to terminate cable yet. So, and so that means I can only hook up one antenna at a time. But I bought a longer length because, and I probably should just shoot the video here. let's just keep recording, and then I'll explain to what we have here. Expired, my friend Meatface on Amazon is wondering if I sent an APRS to email. I have sent an APRS to SMS. I have not done email yet. So that's what I started with. And let's take a few more questions here. Yeah, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, you got the 778, which is the mobile radio. Yeah, so I'm going to probably get another one because I want to set up a packet radio BBS on it. So that is what I am going to likely do. And these connections are PL259S on this one. So I will show you all of that. All right, so David said the intro sounded really good. Yeah, it's hard. One of the challenges of what I'm doing with this series is that as I mentioned, I'm going to move this thing out of the way. It's kind of initially a daunting hobby when you start out with it, because when I started messing around with the SDR, the software-defined radio, it was almost like looking up at a mountain. Like, where do you even start? How do you get the license? What do you even do with it? And so that was kind of where I started with it. This cable, what is this? I think this is LM400. Let me see. Let me look up what I bought. It's a 50 ohm cable. And I know I'm going to have some signal loss through this because of the length, but I didn't know how much I needed. So let me get the full specs on the cable here, which is probably going to be important. When I was ordering, this was like, here, this is what you should get for your, this is 400 max, 50 ohm cable. I'm assuming LM400. Let me see what the specs are on this. So the coaxial cable type is 400 max. At least that's what I ordered, which might be I don't know. So that's what I got. So I think this might be a DX Engineering branded cable. So I think that's what it is, but you can tell me if that's incorrect. And Coco is here, ST2KI, welcome. And Jolt Dude, yeah, it took me a little bit of time to get here, but now I've got it. And yeah, so my plan is to put the UHF cable on the roof, and where I'm going to set this up, I think I don't need all that much cable length. So I bought a long length just to have it, because I knew we'd end up cutting it up rather than get a bunch of smaller, shorter length cables. All right, so yeah, so I think this is LM400. And it's outdoor rated, it's UV resistant and all that kind of stuff, so it should work well. Yeah, this is like a DX Engineering cable. All right, so let's start. I guess we'll start with the cable. And this stuff is not cheap, let me tell you. And Joe says that LMR400 is more than enough. Yeah, so this should be good. Because my plan today is, once the storm passes, is to set up the antenna and kind of do all that. And Crab Donkey says this is what I mean, like the rabbit hole here is crazy, right? There's a larger size coax with less length loss, but the connectors are obscenely expensive. Exactly, this is like where it goes, so. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's start off with the cable that I got to connect my antennas up. Now, I only got one cable here so far to start with, because I can only do one band at a time, and my intention with my new setup here is to spend a little more time on that 10-meter band initially to explore a part of the spectrum I haven't explored yet, but I did buy a UHF and VHF antenna. This is DX400 cable that I got from DX Engineering. And it's 100 feet, more than I would need later when my antennas get installed. But I do have some friends that are going to help me out with this project. So I anticipate maybe cutting this cable up and putting some new connectors on. And this, of course, has your standard, what is this, a PL295 connector on here. And this is what will plug into the radio and also into the antenna. This is outdoor rated. It's 50 ohm cable. It's probably more length than you want for like a UHF VHF antenna because you do get signal loss over longer stretches, but I will eventually be cutting this up and trying to keep the antenna for UHF VHF activities as close to the radio as possible. Now let's take a look at the antennas that I got, and this will generate some discussion, I think. So let me start off with the UHF VHF antenna, which is probably not as controversial. So I got a Diamond, what is this, an X50A, and it's still in the packaging here. I haven't taken it out yet, but this is a vertical antenna. You set it up on a post and get it up as high as possible. And this is what I plan to use for all the local UHF, VHF stuff, including some of my packet radio discussions. And whoops, the discussion area, though, will come from my choice of HF antenna. And I want to show you a blog post that I was following that kind of led me in this direction. So there's a blogger by the name of Tom Costello, and I'll pull up his page here so you can see what I'm looking at. And he detailed what he was doing on 10 meter as a technician, and that's exactly what I wanted to kind of mirror here. And what he set up was a dipole with two of these MFJ 1610T antennas. And I don't have enough room to like take it out and show you exactly how it looks, but there's basically a fiberglass component and then a whip antenna that you screw in at the bottom. And you get two of these, and there's another piece of equipment. Let me go get that real quick. All right, so we're going to have a little segue here. Let me grab the other thing that I need. Yeah, this is going to be more of a conversational video. I like my stuff to usually be a little more tighter than this, but I think we're going to let it be kind of more natural here. So let's see, part one. Let me see how this came out. I might be able to slice this up a little bit. Okay, and I'll be looking for your comments here as we go. Okay, so Mike Murphy says this is the DX Engineering brand of LMR 400. Perfect. So that looks like I got the right cable. All right, so let's take a look at how this part came out, and I'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's start off with the cable that I got to connect my antennas up. Now, I only got one cable here so far to start with because I can only do one band at a time, and my intention with my new setup here is to spend a little more time on that 10 meter band initially to explore a part of the spectrum I haven't explored yet, but I did buy a UHF and VHF antenna. This is DX400 cable that I got from DX Engineering. And it's 100 feet, more than I would need later when my antennas get installed. But I do have some friends that are going to help me out with this project. So I anticipate maybe cutting this cable up and putting some new connectors on. And this, of course, has your standard, what is this, a PL295 connector on here. And this is what will plug into the radio and also into the antenna. This is outdoor rated. It's 50 ohm cable. It's probably more length than you want for like a UHF VHF antenna because you do get signal loss over longer stretches, but I will eventually be cutting this up and trying to keep the antenna for UHF VHF activities as close to the radio as possible. Now let's take a look at the antennas that I got, and this will generate some discussion, I think. So let me start off with the UHF VHF antenna, which is probably not as controversial. So I got a Diamond, what is this, an X50A, and it's still in the packaging here. I haven't taken it out yet, but this is a vertical antenna. You set it up on a post and get it up as high as possible. And this is what I plan to use for all the local UHF, VHF stuff, including some of my packet radio discussions. And whoops, the discussion area, though, will come from my choice of HF antenna. And I want to show you a blog post that I was following that kind of led me in this direction. So there's a blogger by the name of Tom Costello, and I'll pull up his page here so you can see what I'm looking at. And he detailed what he was doing on 10 meter as a technician, and that's exactly what I wanted to kind of mirror here. And what he set up was a dipole with two of these MFJ 1610T antennas. And I don't have enough room to like take it out and show you exactly how it looks, but there's basically a fiberglass component and then a whip antenna that you screw in at the bottom. And you get two of these, and there's another piece of equipment. Let me go get that real quick. I got the dipole creator here. And Joe, I do not have an external antenna tuner. So that's going to be something we'll see if the radio that I picked can help me with, because I think it does have a built-in tuner. I don't know how it works just yet. And it looks like I got it is 259, so this is where I'll edit in a, a little thing to, at least will show me the humility that people want to see out of me, because I have, like I said, I'm still learning. These are all new connectors for me. I grew up with RCA and, your RG6 whatevers, you know what I mean. So, yep, we'll get there. All right, so now, this thing is what, let me pull up his blog post again. This is what he connected the two whips to. So I think actually this will work, because I can zoom in on it. All right, so let me see where I left off in the last clip. Antenna that you screw in at the bottom. And you get two of these, and there's another piece of equipment. Let me go get that real quick. All right, so we'll do this. 3, 2, 1. And that other piece of equipment is the MFJ 347, and this is a mount to create that dipole. So basically you screw both of these whip antennas into this leg here and the other one over here, and then the antenna connector is right here. And I'll show you the picture from the Costello blog here to give you an idea as to how this works. So this is that connector here, and you can see one of the antennas going down and the other one going up, and this wire is going back to his radio. And he was able to do a lot of weak signal transmissions over 10 meter with this setup. So that is what I am going to replicate initially. As I go further into this is not going to do it for some of the other bands. So I will eventually get another HF antenna that can cover a wider swath of the spectrum. But right now, as I'm in this technician phase, I can't do much beyond 10 meters anyhow. So I want to start here, and then we'll look for other options in the future. And that, of course, will be a great opportunity for future videos. Now, as far as mounting the antennas are concerned, the last thing you want is for me to get up on a roof and start drilling holes in the side of the house. I am going to get some help with that soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to get something that I could set up in the yard and then just kind of take down when I was done for the day. And what I bought along with all my stuff here is this MFJ tripod that has these fiberglass poles that attach to it. And I'll rewind it here so you can get a better look at it. It looks pretty heavy duty. It was actually much heavier duty than it looked in the pictures. And it can extend up pretty high. So I'm pretty sure that my HF dipole here with the fiberglass extenders is going to allow me to get this thing set up in the yard and have it start transmitting to get going here. And then eventually I will mount things in a more proper fashion. But it looks like this will get me going, which was my intent here in the short term. So now let's take a look at the base station radio that I chose, and we'll see what it looks like and why I chose it, and we'll unbox it too. All right. Oops, I was muted, sorry. Hang on. I was muted, but I'm not muted anymore. Hang on a second. So as it turns out, somebody was asking, can I speak in Italian? And I cannot, but I have Italian blood. and I never knew I was Italian until my grandfather was about to pass away when he spilled the beans that we actually have some Italian blood in our family. All right, so let me just do this real quick, and this is part 2. I'm just going to play this back real quick, and I'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. And that other piece of equipment is the MFJ 347, and this is a mount to create that dipole. So basically you screw both of these whip antennas into this leg here and the other one over here, and then the antenna connector is right here. And I'll show you the picture from the Costello blog here to give you an idea as to how this works. So this is that connector here, and you can see one of the antennas going down and the other one going up, and this wire is going back to his radio. And he was able to do a lot of weak signal transmissions over 10 meter with this setup. So that is what I am going to replicate initially. As I go further into this, this is not going to do it for some of the other bands. So I will eventually get another HF antenna that can cover a wider swath of the spectrum. But right now, as I'm in this technician phase, I can't do much beyond 10 meters anyhow. So I want to start here, and then we'll look for other options in the future. And that, of course, will be a great opportunity for future videos. Now, as far as mounting the antennas are concerned, the last thing you want is for me to get up on a roof and start drilling holes in the side of the house. I am going to get some help with that soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to get something that I could set up in the yard and then just kind of take down when I was done for the day. And what I bought along with all my stuff here is this MFJ tripod that has these fiberglass poles that attach to it. And I'll rewind it here so you can get a better look at it. It looks pretty heavy duty. It was actually much heavier duty than it looked in the pictures. And it can extend up pretty high. So I'm pretty sure that my HF dipole here with the fiberglass extenders is going to allow me to get this thing set up in the yard and have it start transmitting to get going here. And then eventually I will mount things in a more proper fashion. But it looks like this will get me going, which was my intent here in the short term. So now let's take a look at the base station radio that I chose, and we'll see what it looks like and why I chose it, and we'll unbox it too. Oops, okay, that works. Let's see. So the Tan Man, you missed my Prime Day stream. I was on twice on Prime Day. I didn't do one yesterday, but I didn't get a tremendous amount of viewership this year. So I kind of did. I did two. I did a stream in the morning for laptops. It turns out just because of the nature of the review units that I get in, I had like 5 laptops that were all on Prime Day sales. So I did a laptop one, and then I did in the evening, prime time for Prime Day, I did a stream with all of the TV boxes that were on sale. So we had Roku, Fire TV, and the Apple TV, because the Apple TV was on a really good sale. I had all of those going at the same time. So that was a fun one. So yeah, we did 2 on Prime Day. But today I'm just getting caught up, and all this stuff came, and I'm about to get a thunderstorm here. I think I don't know what it's doing out there. I'll take a look in a few minutes. And I felt like because all this stuff shows up, this is the transceiver I got. All this stuff shows up, and I'm like, I still have work to do. So I figured, you know what, if I do some work here making a video unboxing all of this, that would be sufficient. So that's what, that's what I'm doing here. My friend here says, this is a decent tripod. Oh, great. Yeah, I think I'll have some clamps to just keep those. Yeah, actually, I didn't mention this. It did come with hose clamps. So there were clamps in the box. So those are there. And I'll probably maybe cut some B-roll in of those clamps so people see that. And Mad Max is going for his technician license eventually. Bought a Yaesu 2980R as my first ham radio, looking at one of those ED Fong antennas. And I am not familiar with that, because I'm not familiar with much of anything. And Jonathan has some good advice there on the FT2980, good high power 2-meter rig. And Jolt Dude got the Fire TV Max and Luna bundle. And yeah, cool, it was fun. Yeah, I was actually pleased with how so you know what's funny about the TV box one was it was a real technical push on my hardware, on my production hardware, because I'm doing 4K now, And so I had, between the 3 cameras and the 3 TV boxes, I had a total of 6 4K streams or video sources going through vMix at the same time. And it was able to keep up with all of it. I was really surprised. It was remarkable. 4K is pushing my system more than 1080p does, but I'm still, you know, like right now I've got, the laptop is coming in at 4K, which is what, you know, I'm showing some images on. I got 3 cameras set up, and I have, you know, some videos playing and the overlays and whatever. So, but I still have about 80% of my system resources available, which is pretty crazy. Captain Gutrod is here from the UK. Welcome. No concrete yet. I don't know how to pour concrete, but one of these days I'll get there. And I've heard a lot of good things about the FT991A, and I'll explain when I start recording again why I chose the radio, because what I like about it is that it integrates a lot of things that you would normally have in different devices into one. So it does UHF, VHF, and HF. And there is an antenna tuner. I don't know how robust the antenna tuner is, so we will look at that at some point. And it does all the digital stuff that I want to do. So I didn't have to buy a whole bunch of different stuff. It just does it all. It's not the highest power radio. It's 50 watts on each of those 2 bands. But for weak signal, 50 watts is more than enough. So that works out pretty well. And you know what? I was surprised also that I didn't have HDCP problems. I suspect that my input devices are HDCP certified, and just kind of, you know, ignore that. I got some new followers on Amazon to welcome. I've got Janine Long, Marion Lynn Tucker, and Jesse. Thanks for the follow, everybody. And yeah, so let me unbox this thing. This is the Yaesu FT991A. So let me see. Let me go put that up on the carousel here. Let me go and, yeah, I kind of went for the gusto on the radio. All right, so I'm going to kind of do like a little reveal when I put it up on the, just going to see how it unboxes. Okay, good. So it all comes together pretty well here. All right. 3, 2, 1. So for the radio, I went with something that I've heard a lot of good things about, both from friends and from things that I've read and videos that I've watched. This is the Yaesu FT991A. This is not an inexpensive radio, but it does all the stuff that I want a radio to do in a single package, and that was what was appealing to me on this one. So a lot of radios do UHF and VHF, but not HF, and other videos just do HF. Other radios. Let me start that again. I'm going to do the whole takeover again. Other videos. I got a one-track mind on making videos. This is radio we're talking about. 3, 2, 1. So the radio that I went with is the Yaesu FT991A, and I had a lot of good feedback on this radio, both from YouTube videos that I've watched, from reviews that I've read, and from friends who are familiar with it. So I figured this might be one to go with. It is a little pricey, but it does everything that I want to do in one unit. Now, its transmit power is 100 watts total, but it's split up. So 50 watts goes out over the HF, which is more than enough for the weak signal stuff I want to do, I think. And the VHF, UHF gets the other 50 watts. And where I'm located, I can hit most of the repeaters that I want to hit, and I think 50 watts will be more than adequate to reach all of those. But at some point, maybe we'll go with something higher powered, but at this point I think this is going to work out pretty well. Another thing I like about the radio is that it's got a waterfall display. So as I'm exploring the bands, looking to see if people are talking, I will get some indicator of signal activity as I am scrolling around. So that was another feature that I found to be attractive on this one. I don't have to just listen, I can see it on the radio as I'm just turning the dial. So let's unbox it, and we will hook it up in a future video. So this will be a teaser for more things to come. But let's see what's in the box here. So here is the instruction manual. As a new ham, I'm going to be spending a lot of time reading this. And it looks like also they give you a map grid map here in the back. That's pretty cool. And we'll look at that stuff later. We have a dynamic microphone for making our contacts, and you can buy additional microphones. I have a bunch of SM58s that are really nice vocal microphones that I might find a way to hook up to this thing. but you got your push to talk here and some controls. Very nice. And we'll put that aside for a second. You have a power cable here, and what's important to note is that in the radio world, your power supply is not built into the radio. So us in the computer world are used to having integrated power supplies. Not here, and I'll show you the power supply that I went with in a minute. And let me get the radio out of here without dropping anything. All right, here we go. It's a very attractive unit. And not that large either. And as many of you know, I am married and have children, so the space that I have is limited in this home. And where I want to put this thing is going to be in an area that is shared with the children. So in order to keep peace in the household, the integration of everything is really important to have. So this is the unit here. It's pretty heavy, actually, which is good, right? And I'm looking forward to getting the power supply hooked up and everything going from there. Let me show you the connectors on the back here. And we have those PL59 connectors. I believe I called them the incorrect number a few minutes ago. So this is where the antennas plug in. And you can see you've got one for the UHF, VHF, and one for the HF. And then it also has a USB connector here. And this will connect up with the weak signal software that I want to use. So not only, I think, can the USB trigger the radio to transmit, the radio's audio gets fed to the computer for doing all of that weak signal work, along with some of the packet work that I want to do on it as well. And it looks like we've got some connectors here for serial, for RTTY and data. So I got a lot to learn here, and this is one of these radios that can do a lot, so I can learn all on one unit here. And then eventually I'll probably get additional radios to kind of handle doing some additional tasks that I might want to dedicate a radio to. So I do want to set up a packet radio BBS at one point, and I don't want to have this radio tied up for that activity, so I'll probably get a cheap VHF, UHF unit for that. And I also want to do some APRS digipeating eventually as well to contribute to that effort. So I will be getting more equipment in the future, but this is what I plan to start with. And it is quite heavy. Let me show you the power supply that I went with. All right. Boy, that's beautiful. Isn't that nice? It's a nice unit. But as you saw, you can't just plug it in and, you know what I mean? It's a whole separate power supply you have to get for it. All right. And oh, that's a good point here from Steve here, that it takes a little wiring to power, but it'll also work in a car, right? Because it's just DC. Don't you love doing this? Ooh, yeah. Got another one here. All the shiny parts. Ooh, yeah. Look at that. Look at all the buttons, all the dials. Yeah, I've got a lot to I got a lot to learn. I got a buddy who might stop by a little while to gawk at this thing. So I'm going to be the most popular guy amongst my small group of ham friends nearby, because this is a nice radio. So very, very cool. All right, let me see what we've got. Some. Oh, hey, we got another new technician here, Zhao, KQ4AUS. Got his license just a few days after mine. Awesome. And this is different than CB radio. So CB radio, I believe, is it on the 10-meter band or close to it? It operates on a similar frequency, but you have to be licensed to use it. And you can do a lot more on amateur frequencies. And Jonathan had his set up on, autocorrect, it was vertical, up on Mount St. Helens. Awesome. Had contact with Dublin, Ireland with 20 meters. Yeah, you can do a lot of far contacts on HF if the atmospheric conditions are right. Is there a turnkey car power kit? I will leave that to the chat room to flesh out. All right, so I'm going to go move this thing into a safe place before I break something. And we'll continue onward. And hopefully I get this all figured out like in the next day or two, and I will have some cool stuff to share with everybody. And by the way, the other thing that I'm looking forward to, we're going to visit Mr. Good Game at the ARRL headquarters, and I'm going to transmit on their equipment. And so that'll be a fun road trip. So producer Jake and I are going to run up there together. Let me just move this. Oh boy, this thing is heavy. Looks pretty nice. And I guess the only concern I have with it is just that everything is integrated in one unit, right? So if one thing goes, it's all going to go, right? So hopefully, if there's any hardware issues they've had to work out with it have been worked out. We'll see. And here is, ooh. And then I played it safe. I didn't get any different thing here. I just got the Yaesu FP1030A, which everyone says you should get with it. So that's what I got. All right, I'm just going to get it started here. So, all right, there we go. And I got some reading to do tonight. So let me move this out of the way real quick. It looks like the weather's clearing up. I was hoping we'd get a little bit of rain here. It's not been raining at all. All right. And the other goal is to get all this set up and operating before my wife gets home. And she wonders what the heck I put out in the backyard. Okay. Yes, it is. It's true. It is bigger than the radio. I think it is bigger than the radio. It's certainly heavier. And the radio is not light. All right, so we're going to have to nuance this in a way in which I don't completely break something here. Let me just add my video clip to the mix here. This is part 4, part 3. There we go. And Jeffrey just followed me on Amazon. Thank you for the follow. And Meatface says that I need to do some Lon.TV. Yeah, slow scan TV would be a lot of fun to do. I would love to do some of that because I've been seeing. When I was taking my technician exam, there was somebody there who was encoding images and sending out images over his HT. And 7-3, thank you, Steve. We'll be looking forward to visiting with you in a couple of weeks. End of the month, we're going to come up there. So I'm looking forward to that. And bear with me here for 1 second. Okay. So let's continue onward here. Yeah. Well, you know, the good thing is, here's how I've been able to do it, is that because it's my job, it kind of justifies all the stuff. And what's happened is that as the technology accumulates in other parts of the house, my wife collects it and then brings it back down here, which is why I'm not showing you the rest of this room right now, because it's a disaster. So I've got to, what I'm trying to do, I'm actually getting there. So one of the good things, as you all know, I kind of reworked the weekly wrap-up, and so first of all, I want to say hello to Randall Constant in the Amazon chat. Good to see you, Randall. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we're doing a little amateur radio ham haul here. One of the what was I going to say? One of the things that I've done with the weekly wrap-up is I've changed how I'm doing it. Because I used to spend a good chunk of Sunday researching topics to do on Monday, and then I spent a good chunk of Monday shooting the topic that ended up being part of it. And I found that those videos were not very successful. Some of them were, some of them weren't. But the topics can stand alone when there is one to talk about. I was always trying to find something to talk about, and that whether or not it was going to be a successful video didn't really matter. It just had to be done. So now I've got a lot more time because I got a whole day back now, basically. So I'm on Thursday right now, and I like to do at least 3 videos a week, and I'm already there. And this is number 4. So I'm just feeling good that I might be able to get a little bit of time where I can take a day or 2 and just clean up this disaster. What I might actually do is hire a professional organizer to come in here and just organize me. Because once I get a discipline of where things need to go, I think that's going to help. So there you go. Hey, Rome Knows Tech is here as well. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm having a good stream today, partly because I think everyone's burned out from Prime Day, but I'm still going. So, oh, so Tamman is talking about the Game Boy box on my shelf. See how you can distract me so easily? That box, I bought that at a estate auction. This box is pristine. I did a video, actually, Tamman, if you look at the thing, I hit the microphone by accident. If you look at the video I did a little haul video of that estate sale. So it came with a Game Boy and a bunch of games. I kept the Game Boy, I kept the box, and I've been selling off some of the stuff. I have some manuals also. So it's good stuff. David's wondering, have the ham videos, actually they have. They don't do well initially, but then they've been picking up steam. So the SDR video is one of my more popular ones this year, the 2 of them that I've done. My most recent one, let me look and see. See, what's fun about the ham radio, because it lives on its own, in its own community essentially. So there's a lot of, it's brought a lot of new viewers to the channel because there's a pretty active ham radio community on YouTube. So for example, the first, let me look and see here. Let me pull up on my list here. So the first SDR video that I did, that one's up to 116,000 views, and for me, that's high. And then the second one that I did has 25,000 views. The most recent one, let me see what the most recent one I did on contacting the space station, that one didn't do as well, 6,800. But I think over time, that one's going to do better. Because what happens is that with things that are very specific like this, eventually the algorithm grabs it and it just lets it rip. So like printer reviews work like that all the time. Ooh, wow, you had a good haul there, Tamman. Complete in box. Yeah, that's a big collector's thing now. And now what's happening is that people are, the desire for complete in box has driven the value up of everything else. So I have like a bunch of manuals that are probably worth $200 because people want to buy the manuals to get all that. And yes, I am on DMR. I have a number. I forgot what the number is, but I think there's a directory where if you look up my call sign, KC1RGS, you will see my DMR ID. And I have a repeater nearby. I don't know what networks it's linked up with, but I get all the Connecticut stuff. All right, let's see where I left off on here. Bear with me for 1 second. Let me just do some APRS digipeating eventually as well to contribute to that effort. So I will be getting more equipment in the future, but this is what I plan to start with, and it is quite heavy. Let me show you the power supply that I went with. Okay, so we'll do it like this. Ugh. 3, 2, 1. Now, as heavy as the radio is, the power supply is even heavier. What I went with was the power supply that Yaesu recommended you use with the radio, which is the FP1030A. And let's have a look at that. And we'll be connecting this up to the radio with the cables that were included with it. And this is kind of par for the course in the radio world where you need that separate external power supply. And I'm going to take it out this way. And it's certainly big and heavy here. But it's also going to provide a lot of power to my radio, especially if I want to use it at its full potential here. And let's get it out here. Very attractive unit. And so what you've got is a 6 amp component and a 25 amp component, and then you have a 10 amp 12 volt socket here. So this would be similar to the cigarette adapter you might have in your vehicle. And then you've got some meters here to monitor voltage and amperage. So hopefully I don't break anything as I get everything hooked up to it. But it should be fairly simple provided I plug things into the right color here. So the next step in this adventure is I am going to head out into the yard and get my antenna mounted up out there. And once I get everything to a point where I've figured it out, I will do an update video with you. Now, if you are a licensed ham operator, even a technician, let me know in the comment stream, because what I would love to do is do some weak signal chatting over JS8 call if we're able to pull it off with as many viewers as possible. So leave me your call sign down below or send me an email to Lon@Lon.TV, and maybe we'll set up a live stream where a bunch of us try to reach each other using weak signal communications on the 10-meter band. So lots more to come on this one. Wish me luck. I am exploring a whole new area of technology that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, but I'm learning as fast as I can. And I appreciate any feedback that you have for my endeavors down below in the comments. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. All right, I think that might be a video. How about that? That's how we make the sausage here on the channel. Conrad A is here. Hello there, Conrad. And we also have Tabby Tux, the first time on my stream. Welcome. Yeah, this is a real nerdy one today because I just bought a bunch of ham radio equipment and I'm trying to get it all figured out. I'm going to play this back real quick and we'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. Now, as heavy as the radio is, the power supply is even heavier. What I went with was the power supply that Yaesu recommended you use with the radio, which is the FP1030A. And let's have a look at that. And we'll be connecting this up to the radio with the cables that were included with it. And this is kind of par for the course in the radio world, where you need that separate external power supply. And I'm going to take it out this way. And it's certainly big. Oh, hey, before you leave, Grayson Petty, hopefully you didn't leave just yet, but you're wondering what mouse and keyboard I was using. This is a Logitech K400 Plus. Super inexpensive. And it works very well. It's what I control my vMix system with. Let me just play the rest of this back, and I'll be right back. Heavy here, but it's also going to provide a lot of power to my radio, especially if I want to use it at its full potential here. And let's get it out here. Very attractive units. And so what you've got is a 6 amp component and a 25 amp component, and then you have a 10 amp 12 volt socket here. So this would be similar to the cigarette adapter you might have in your vehicle. And then you've got some meters here to monitor voltage and amperage. So hopefully I don't break anything as I get everything hooked up to it. But it should be fairly simple provided I plug things into the right color here. So the next step in this adventure is I am going to head out into the yard and get my antenna mounted up out there. And once I get everything to a point where I've figured it out, I will do an update video with you. Now, if you are a licensed ham operator, even a technician, let me know in the comment stream, because what I would love to do is do some weak signal chatting over JS8 call if we're able to pull it off with as many viewers as possible. So leave me your call sign down below or send me an email to Lon@Lon.TV, and maybe we'll set up a live stream where a bunch of us try to reach each other using weak signal communications on the 10-meter band. So lots more to come on this one. Wish me luck. I am exploring a whole new area of technology that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, but I'm learning as fast as I can. And I appreciate any feedback that you have for my endeavors down below in the comments. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we're good there. Let's see here. I'm just going to take a few more questions here. We have a few folks on the Amazon chat joining us here. We have Alexi, oh boy, Liharsh, I'm going to totally mess it up. Laharshnanik. Hopefully I got that right. Conrad A. is joining us, and David Alanis is joining us on Amazon as well. Am I still using the ThinkPad keyboard? Yes, so I use that when I'm working on laptops and computers and whatnot. And Tabby Tux is 73QRZ. Oh, 73QRZ, got it. And I thought that was your, I thought that was your call sign. 73 to you. So no, the keyboard is still over there. I use that with my laptops and stuff, but this is the one I use with my vMix system, just because I'm used to it and I know where the keys are. Because when I hit the space bar, I cut to the preview camera there. And Ernst was in the hobby for a while, but gave it up after a while, lost interest. Yeah, I've been, you know what I've been really fascinated with is all the digital stuff that's going on. The weak signal in particular, for whatever reason, is just really appealing to me. And I like the notion of, what I like about amateur radio is that it's, back in the late 80s, I was really into local computer bulletin board systems. And what was really fun about those is that they were localized. So it was people that were near you that you could actually meet up with who shared a technological interest, a hobby, if you will, that, you know, we all had that in common. And when the internet came along, it kind of wiped out the BBSs in a heartbeat, because a lot of what made BBSs so cool was that you logged into something locally, but the amateurs that ran the BBSs had them all connected to each other. So there was a whole network called FidoNet. There was other networks that were set up as well. And they all worked in kind of the same way, in that one BBS dialed another one to transit messages around the world and back again. So there was message boards. And they still exist today. You can log into a Telnet BBS on FidoNet and do that. But I think when the internet came along, it didn't take long for BBSs to kind of fade out, like almost, not immediately, but within, I think between 1994 and 95, when the internet really hit, it just wiped it out. And I think the BBSs were kind of the conduit where, you know, you would go out and get some image file or video or piece of software or whatever, and you would take that and bring it to your local BBS. And there was a cost involved in getting those things to the local board, because you had to dial long distance to get it. You know what I mean? So when the local or the long distance phone charges kind of went away in that regard because of the internet, I think that really impacted things. But I missed that local camaraderie around an interest, a technological interest. And so what's been fascinating about this is that it is something that the internet really can't replace, because it requires some know-how. It works differently than the internet does, and there are still people that are communicating through this medium locally, and there's also ways to do it beyond local, but it's different, and I think that's what's so neat about it. So that's what I'm after here. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather, and we'll see what my radar is looking like. I'm not going to stream setting this thing up because it's outdoors and it's a whole big thing, but I think it'll be more interesting once I get it all working. And if we do that chat room thing that I was talking about, it might be kind of fun to mess around with that. So I will be back in the near future with another stream, and happy to take any questions you all have before I go. But yeah, this was fun. I mean, I don't get a lot of traffic on this from my regular viewers necessarily, but I think I'm getting a lot of people interested in this hobby in the process. So that's part of what I'm looking to do. All right, so we are ready to go here. So I'm going to mosey on out. I'm not seeing too many other chats here. And let's see. Oh, I got a few interesting comments here. Let's take a look here. Crab Donkey was on the original DARPA net in the 70s. Oh, that must have been awesome. Ernst is saying before his ham license, he built AM2 base transmitters. Oh, very cool. Yeah, my father used to repair radios. My grandfather owned a record store in Brooklyn, New York, back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. And they did repairs in addition to selling music records. So my father learned a lot about repairing electronics and radios back then. So it was pretty neat. Yeah, he showed me as a little toddler how to make a battery out of a nickel and some salt water. Chris Cole wants to know, do I like the Logitech keyboard that I use here? First of all, it's very inexpensive. I don't know what it's selling for these days. Let me look it up on Amazon real quick. And if you click on the link, yeah, it's $28 right now on Amazon. For the price, you can't beat it. I'll add it to the, there's a lot of interest in it. I will add it to my thing. This is the K400 Plus. And I'll put it in the thing here so you can see it. So it's not even Prime Day. It's like just $28. Not expensive at all. Now I don't have the dongle visible because it is currently plugged into the computer that I'm using. But it's not going to rival your laptop keyboard by any stretch because it's cheap. It's $28. But it works very reliably. The transmitter does encrypt the transmission, so it's not snoopable, at least with equipment that most mortals have available to them. It is plastic. It runs on AA batteries. See that? And then what's nice is that it's got a little spot for the transceiver. And the transceiver is like a little USB dongle. I think I have an extra one over here. I have a couple of these. Yes, this is what the transceiver looks like. So it's just a little thing that plugs into the USB port. And this shows up like a, so there's no drivers required because it shows up like a USB keyboard and mouse. So it just works with anything that works with a keyboard and mouse. And there's a switch on it so you can turn it on and off. And the batteries last a really long time. I think I probably change these batteries maybe once every 6 months, if that. So it's really good. GoldenEye 0007. Oh, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been on Amazon for a long time, about 2 years now. And I think I'm getting a lot of people visiting today because all of the streamers were all burned out from Prime Day. But I keep streaming. I love doing the Amazon live streaming. So it's always fun to be on Amazon. And it's a great fit for my channel because we review stuff. And what's great is that if it helps people, it's a great opportunity. Hey, there's Trent. Hey, Trent. You just missed it. I'm going to have a video, though. You can watch the whole thing. We just unboxed all of my gear. It arrived. And provided I don't get a thunderstorm here, I'm going to try to set up my HF antenna out back and see how it all works. And yeah, it's not a great typing keyboard. They have more expensive ones that are nicer, but for me it's utilitarian. I don't do a lot of typing on this computer, but it's good for that. If you are like looking for in my opinion, the best one of these by far is this one. This is I lost my dongle for it. I got to figure out where that went. This is the ThinkPad version, and this is it is like a ThinkPad keyboard without the ThinkPad. So you get your tracking nub here instead of the trackpad. It's very compact, but this is a great keyboard. I love the ThinkPad keyboards, so this one's great. But you can buy like 3 of these for what one of these costs. So you have to take that into consideration. So yeah, so Trent, what I was thinking, once I get it all figured out, what I was looking to do was that we would have a JS8 call live chat during a stream. So I can bring in some people over my vMix call, just to have a constant communication, but see how many people we can get going on 10 meter. And I'm guessing we'd have to do it during my daytime, so it would probably be mostly a US-based thing, because I don't know after the sun sets if we'll have any hope of intercontinental weak signal stuff. And this is a unifying receiver. Yes, it has the unifying receiver. So if you lose one like I have, you can get another one pretty easily. And then I found the one that I lost, and now I have an extra one. So it's pretty good. And IMON Tech has never gotten used to the nub. You know what's funny is back in the 90s, the trackpads on laptops were terrible because they were so tiny. So I got I did a video on my 1998 laptop, which is over there, and that laptop made use of that. And I still remember all the phone numbers for my local BBSs too, because I didn't set them up in the auto dialer thing, so I have it all memorized, just like you do. Yep, that's funny. I actually still remember the phone number. I'm just thinking right now. I know. Yep, all 3 of them. So there was 3 that I logged into, and then I had my own. So there was the Star of Life BBS, and they were on RelayNet, which was another one of these echoes that were out there. And then I had another one called the Hub. These are all the ones that were in my local calling area. I had another one called the Hub, and I know the number in my head still. I don't want to say the number in case somebody else has that. But that one was the local FidoNet hub, so that was where all the FidoNet traffic went into. And then there was another one called, I think it was called the USS Enterprise. Yeah, it was called USS Enterprise. And the guy the sysop of that board, who I still talk to all the time, that guy started a computer business in town called Enterprise Computer. So he kept the name, even though the BBS did not continue, he did keep the name. So, and he's built a good business out of it. All right, well, I'm going to take off here and see if I can get my new toys going now that I've done at least a little bit of work today. And I have to get a haircut in a little bit. So I got a great deal. This lady comes to my home and cuts my hair. It's great. So she is coming by at 5, so I need to be ready for that. And yeah, so that's where we're at. So thank you all for tuning in. This will be posted up on the channel in a little bit. And Trent, I will email you if I get this thing working. And we can see if we can have a little contact going. So yeah, good stuff. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.